How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the welcome to the first episode that we're covering this week of Invincible. I know we did the catch-up video. Think about this more as the first weekly review of the episode. And the episode 6 is called You Look Kinda Dead. And wow, was this episode an emotional roller coaster. I have to say off the bat, like, what I love about Invincible is the reality they put into the superhero world. Like, these superheroes, they will lose people, they'll push people away, the good consequences and the bad consequences that comes with being a superhero, and we're seeing it now, and it is intense. So we pick up from this last episode where Monster Girl, sorry about that loud noise, Samson and Invincible were literally torn the fuck up. My god, were these guys beaten to death. And Monster Girl's getting saved by a robot. Samson, he looks like he somehow redefibrillates himself, so I'm thinking Samson's probably getting his powers back, or at least we're gonna see him slowly get his powers back. And Mark just luckily enough is able to pull through. We know from the last episode at the end that the Viltrumite cells are pretty powerful, and they just, they heal themselves. It's intense to see how Nolan and his mom, or Mark's mom and dad, handle this. They fight over this because it's kind of like, I don't know why they fight in this episode, because technically if we hear from last episode, Nolan was correct in telling Mark, don't do this because you're gonna get yourself hurt, or you're gonna it's gonna end bad for you. And Debbie was the one who kind of pushed him, with Mark's mom pushed him to go like, no, you should go do this, you should save people if you can. And I think I don't know why she's mad at Nolan. I think it's because she holds the grudge of knowing that he had something to do with the death of the, what do you call it, the global league, the you know what I mean, the Justice League, basically, their Justice League, the Guardians, that's what I was looking for. And she really presses it this episode, and let's just divide it, because there's 3 big story arcs in this episode. It's Eve's storyline with her wanting to be, Mrs. Peace Corps. It's Debbie and Nolan's adventures of her finding out the truth, and Nolan just straight up just denying. And then, of course, the main chunk of the story is Mark's relationship with Amber and how they're trying to restart it, and the flaws that are happening with this. And it's pretty intense, this episode. So let's just jump right into the side stories, because although not as enjoyable, they're still pretty, they still have a lot to offer. And there's another side story too that I'll probably touch in a bit. I mean, with this 40 hour long episode, I'll probably do at least 15 minutes at most. Sorry about that, of talking about this. So let's jump right in with the smaller storyline, something that's like a side storyline, which is Robot and Monster Girl, him doing whatever he can to keep her alive, and even Samson remarking how does a robot love, and how does a robot go about this. And that's a big question, because I don't think Robot's fully a robot. I think there's more humanity in him than we're left to believe. I mean, he's making decisions, he's he's doing certain things that are not necessarily like the superhero way to do things. And even for a robot who's programmed to do this, he's making personal decisions, and he's really breaking rules. That's making me think that he can't just be fully robot. I'm thinking he might be a cyborg. He might have a human brain or a human soul in him or something. I'm not fully positive, but I feel like that's what they're gearing up for. Now, we go back. We know his relationship with the Immortals it's a very cut and dry deal. They're cloning him a new body. Of course, he took the blood sample from Rex, but I don't know why he wants Rex's body. I could assume they're trying to make him a body, then eventually find a genetic cure for Monster Girl to add more years back to her, because I know she's 24 years old, but she looks like she's 14. it's its own fucking, oh god. But it is interesting to see where this is going in the storyline. Now, Eve's storyline is actually pretty awesome. I like how she's, as much as she really has this kind of want for Mark, or at least that she has this kind of need for Mark, she still kind of holds back on letting him know everything. And I really enjoy her character, that she's not pushed into the storyline to break Amber and Mark up. But I am happy that in this storyline she kind of thanks Mark, and she remarks to Mark that he's nothing like Rex, that he supports her in a way that Rex really couldn't. I like that they're kind of building that eventually they might have a thing together. I would really like it that if Eve has her own storyline and she finds somebody on her own, now not necessarily pushing her into the role of, oh, she has to be with Invincible, because that makes sense. I like it that the fact that initial attraction pulled them together, but it's not overall what their whole relationship's going to be about. And I hope it gets more complex as the season continues. Now, seeing her relationship with her family and really just going off on her own has been interesting, because it's not so much that her family doesn't believe in her, I would have to say. I think it's her family's worry for her and their almost obsession with trying to keep her from going off and being a superhero. I really like that she kind of goes off on her own. It's kind of like Eve coming into her own heroism, you know what I mean? And I really like the fact that Eve is doing her own thing in this episode. She's stopping fire, she's regrowing forests, she's feeding the hungry, she's doing like peacekeeper work. And it's just so filling, like that scene when she jumps on her bed and she's like tired. That is so iconic because it's so relatable. Like she has the power to do these differences, so she's making those differences well known, and I really appreciate that. And I really like the fact that they're really giving her some material. They're not just putting her off to the back burner, because of course there's no use for her. I like how they're building her character up slowly and like giving us a little mini parts of her story arc, and hopefully we'll see more of her as the show progresses. Now, the Nolan and Debbie stuff for this episode was heavy to say the least. It was hard. It was interesting seeing Debbie and Nolan just bickering, being in love from episode 1 to just now just literally feuding and being so distant with each other. It's really wild. There's a scene where Nolan's kind of suspicious, and he's like, well, I can go with you to go with you to the supermarket, and she really shuts it down. She's like, you have a book to read, you have a deadline, you've been on, like she really attacks him, and like she shuts that shit up. Later he finds out that she went to go see the tailor, and they find out that Nolan's the one who killed the Guardians, and he's the one who struck first, and she kind of swears him like, you can't ever say anything. And of course Nolan comes and sees the tailor later and drinks beer with him, and kind of gives him he gaslights him again. Nolan's the king of gaslighting. He gaslights him saying, like, we have a good deal, I'm saying, you take care of me, I take care of you. Sounds good to me. Like, it's kind of like his way of warning him and kind of letting him know, don't go any further with this than you should. I can be fun, I can be cool, but if you take it up that notch, it's gonna be a different me. It's crazy. I love where Nolan's character progresses, and I'm really interested in seeing why he's just turned 180, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And it's interesting, even when he's talking to the head of the agency, he speaks about Dark Demon, but he's really referring to Nolan, and it's really like, why would he do this? I can't understand it. And it's really like, it's really hitting us where like, why is Nolan doing this? We keep asking the question, why did Nolan do this? And we're not getting the answers yet, and I really hope we don't get answers, or at least the full truthful answer, until the very end of the season. At least give us something to go on. Now we get into the real big meaty part of this entire episode, and that's the Mark, Invincible, and Amber storyline of this. So of course it begins with William. It actually begins with this frat guy who is voiced by Justin Roiland, and I fucking love the fact that Justin Roiland's in this episode. It was a fun beginning to the episode with him being this frat guy, and you know, yada yada yada. He gets kidnapped and gets like mechanized, turned into a robot. Wild shit. And of course it focuses on Mark and Amber talking. She's like, I get it, like you I was ready to break up with you that day, like I really was. And Mark kind of has to be like, you know, like I want to start over. And it is nice to see that when William brings up going to college to visit this guy he has a crush on, Mark is so quick to jump on that train too, only because I think Mark is looking for another side of his life outside of heroism. He tried to be a hero and it's just not going well. All the people he's trying to save, all the people he's trying to help, it's not going the way he expected it to. And I love that he's getting hit with that realism of like hero work is not just, you know, fly in, save the day, and, you know, get the girl. It's brutal, it's gruesome, it's calculating, there's more moving parts than he was led to believe. And now looking at a college life, he's thinking, you know, if the superhero business doesn't work out, I could go to college. College is an option for me. I can have this life. And I love how Mark sees that getaway of taking him and Amber on William's trip as an escape from being invincible. Of course, even after enjoying the whole the whole atmosphere of college, they run into this nerdy fucking robot dude, or nerdy villain, the villain of the week basically. He's a genius. He wants to turn people, he thinks people are better if they turn into machines, because like it's just, you know, upgrading and stuff. It's a twisted idea of progression, and I think that's what it plays so well. Is like, it's not necessarily Mark, it's not like an allegory for anything bigger than the fact that, you know, what is it like, you lose your humanity if you're progressing this way. If you progress in the wrong way, you're not gonna be the same person you were, and you're gonna lose everything that has ever made you, and how like horrible that could be. And I think Mark has to like he sees this when he sees these cyborgs. Of course, he fights the Justin Roiland cyborg. He beats him, or the actual cyborg kills himself, and him and Amber just have a big fight because he had to become invincible in order to save William. William, of course, notices that that's fucking Mark, and he kind of freaks out a little. But Amber just destroys Mark, saying, how could you fucking do this? Like, you ran, you left your friends behind. It is a hard pill to swallow, seeing like Mark have to not ever tell her like the reason why. And it's a tough watch because it hits so hard. They're fighting. William's excitement, like just seeing Mark look at her at the party was hard. And then of course the scene, let's go flash forward over to Rick, the boy who William has a crush on, gets turned into a cyborg. And it is intense seeing William like crying, you know, spill his guts out, tell him like some of the most intimate moments they had together, only to like reach him and save him, and eventually help Mark win the fight. Mark loses it and hits and breaks the jaw of the villain, and of course the villain is still alive, but it just reminds us that Mark is still so inexperienced as a hero, and it's really showing us that like he can lose it in a second. He basically is his father's son. It is intense. And then there's certain remarks that the agency says about like the tech. Wow, these guys really gave you a run for your money. Like, it's almost like they're gonna like take they're gonna take what they've seen in these villains, and, you know, maybe use that same technology to somewhat be prepared if they have to end up fighting Omni-Man, of course. And this whole storyline it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you see how William's crying on Mark, and like even with the episode ending with before the end credit scene of Nolan putting a hole to the wall because he can't stand the fuck that Debbie's she knows the truth, and she's not tolerating any of his fucking gaslighting bullshit. It's hard because, you know, like there's like it's as much as this tension is building we're leading to something huge, and we are just too afraid to even like speculate what could that be. And of course, the end credit scene is just the Immortals looking at the old grave of the old Immortal who was there, I would assume. Or yeah, and it's the same like semi side storyline of the overall show with the guard dad and his stepson and whatnot. But yeah, Invincible, this episode was, wow, it was intense, it was powerful, it was very emotional. I'd have to give it a good 8 out of 10. It was great. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't anything like spectacular, but it definitely did hit in a way that made me go like, oh my god, like this is intense. I like this episode a lot for the how much it made me feel like, ooh no, oh shit's hitting the fan. Like the amount of stuff that's blowing up is making me freak out. Let's give it a B+, 8 out of 5 out of 10. I'm really excited to see what's gonna come next for the next week, because this episode was fantastic. Anyways, guys, this is your boy Poppy Wolf saying peace out, y'all, and tell me if you're enjoying this covering Invincible. I'm pretty excited. It's an hour-long show, so these videos are gonna be a tad bit longer, but it's okay. Anyways, guys, catch you later. Bye, and remember, 1,000 subscribers.